Editing Gage here. Quick disclaimer for this episode. We do discuss some mature themes such as alcoholism, addiction, and the like in this episode with somebody who has struggled with addiction and alcoholism. And so I just wanted to be upfront and say that we do discuss some mature subject matter that we don't normally on this podcast. So if that's something that you do not feel like you can safely pay attention, like safely listen to or watch, please, by all means, don't. I also wanted to say everything that we discuss is from the perspective of personal experience and opinion, and none of us are professionals in this field, and our opinion should be taken as opinion, not fact. So anything in this discussion is purely based on my friend Connor's experience and our own just curiosity about his journey with sobriety. So if that's something that you are interested in continuing to listen to, please dive on in and enjoy.
Hello everyone, welcome to Everything But the Cats. We are the show that you don't tell your mom about. At least we don't. I'm DJ.
And I'm Gage.
And today we are joined by a new friend to me, an old friend to Gage. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi everybody, I'm Connor. I go by One Board Dude or Dude. I run a YouTube channel called A Ranting where I go on long-winded rants about sobriety and whatever I'm feeling about.
What are some other things you do on there?
I do a lot of board games. I play Warhammer, Blood and Plunder, and Heroescape, and I like to record them and talk about where I can improve, what mistakes I made, what I did well, and how the dice rolled.
Do you still build, like, make figures and stuff? Do you still do that and painting them?
Yeah, I just got into Drop Fleet Commander, where I am doing space naval combat.
Okay. I feel like all of those games sound like they have a really high entry cost.
Not Blood and Plunder, Heroescape, or a Drop Fleet. I got a 2-player starter set for Drop Fleet for $100. So you split that with 2 people, it's $50. And you
Which
got
is
somebody
like
to play.
basically a board game. Yeah.
It's true.
Okay. Well, cool. And then you also do some gaming content. I know you have a couple channels right now.
Yeah,
or just
but
is it?
I dropped my gaming channel simply because I just didn't have time.
Yeah.
And, those are more for me to beat than they are for somebody else to watch and enjoy. Like, nobody's going to watch somebody fiddle through and figure out Elden Ring. They want to see somebody who knows the ins and outs and can point them through everything. They want an expert. They don't want average Joe.
I don't know, man. Sometimes it's fun to just watch people get wrecked constantly.
My Twitch channel, that's majority of it, watching me get wrecked.
But yeah, so Connor and I used to work together when I lived in the Nashville area, and we have had a lot of time to talk about, life and other things in general. Like, we just had a lot of chances to talk and hang out. So that's kind of what we're going to do today is talk about just some of Connor's life, his story, and things that he's learned about, as he already mentioned, his channel, like about the journey of sobriety and stuff like that. So, but before we do that, Connor asked me a fun question the other day, or brought up a statement to me that I thought was fun, and I feel like we should intro with just a couple of these. Go ahead and say the one you sent to me.
I think that any Jedi or any Sith could just flat out spank Superman. Just flat out. Nobody beats Plasma. He can be force choked, and they can block his lasers with their lightsaber. So, I don't know. I'm going to reference the Phantom Menace when they were shot at with lasers, and Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan just jetted out of the way and didn't even get shot at. They didn't even bother blocking it. They were just like, sidestep. What is Superman going to do?
So I don't have a vested interest in either of these parties. I want to be clear. So these are just probing questions. How fast did the laser did the guns shoot in Star Wars?
I mean,
Are
lasers,
they like light speed?
I would assume.
It's fair, yeah. And Superman can't go faster than that.
I mean, he's only as fast as a speeding bullet, right?
That's so true. I'm with you. Yeah,
I'm just
I'm
saying.
persuaded.
I'm just saying.
Also, his whole thing is he's from another planet. So are they.
Yeah, who's to say that the Jedi, when they're on a planet with a red sun like ours, aren't made a lot more powerful as well? Yeah.
I mean, get him
Who's
on
to
a
say?
yellow sun, and then he's just some average dude.
Well, see, and it's like one of the whole things is I think where they're fighting has a lot to do with how it goes. I think on Earth, like Earth Superman literally can tank a nuke and could go into the sun itself and survive. So the plasma argument for me, I think, loses just a little bit of weight. But any other planet, any other galaxy, I'd say they any Jedi could probably kick his butt. But base base knowledge level of Superman and Jedi, I think there are only a handful who could. Now, and that's what I texted you back. Is I was like,
Yeah.
I'm thinking Yoda, Darth Vader, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You threw Darth Maul in there, and I'll accept that. And Count Dooku. I think Count Dooku could. But I think that's where I start to be like, I don't know, Qui-Gon probably as well. That's probably my limit.
I would feel comfortable saying any named character in the Star Wars universe that's a Jedi
Okay.
could take
It's not
Superman.
Jar Jar.
No, like a Jedi,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
Darth Jar Jar.
Hey, I'm telling you, if he really is a Sith Lord, he definitely could do it.
I mean, the only thing that I stand on, if the lightsaber and all that gets disproven, is what about force choke? Superman still needs to breathe. You just choke him out.
Doesn't he fly into space regularly though?
I mean, I think he's in low orbit.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm not.
I'm getting confused with Invincible, where I'm just kind of the joke is he's like, Dad, when do I learn to breathe in space? And he's like, that's the fun part. You don't.
I mean, I'm sure he could hold his breath, but even that has its limits.
He is from
Okay.
Kansas.
So, internet says that whether or not he needs oxygen varies between writers.
Okay.
Wasn't there a comic where Carl Sagan came in and talked to him too?
Probably somewhere out there.
Look at him do the research on it.
I'm not seeing it, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
I don't know. We'll put a pin in it for comments. Engagement.
Love it.
Yeah. Man, that was really stupid. I just typed in, who would win, Darth Vader or Star Wars?
Darth Vader or Carl Sagan?
Stephen Hawkins versus Carl Sagan. That'd be a fight for the ages.
Checkmate, Siths.
Yep. Anyways, yeah, leave your answer in the comments below. I did Google, and I quote, who would win, Darth Vader or Superman? Google pretty overwhelmingly said Superman. Apparently, several websites have done articles on this, though. And Reddit, the consensus is, yeah. Actually, it's full of a lot of arguing, which checks out.
All
The
of
world
it
may never know.
inconclusive.
The Google AI also definitively says that Superman would win in a fight against Leia. For anyone who's curious.
Nothing like
See,
a
but I don't know,
DVO
dude.
from Superman.
I don't know, man. She floated through space once. Connor, can you do me a favor really quick? I want you to pause for just a second and then say the word allegedly and then pause for another second.
Allegedly.
Okay, that's going to help me out a lot for editing purposes.
It's also my number one defense when talking to the cops. Allegedly.
Okay, so let's do you have another fun little topic, or it's
I mean, I'm rewatching Naruto, the original child series, and I still think Gaara is a trash ninja. I still think he's a trash ninja.
so DJ hasn't watched it, but I have explained the story of base Naruto to him. And after you talk to me about it, I kind of agree that I think Gaara is a trash ninja in part 1 of Naruto.
Part 2, after the demon is removed from him and he has to actually learn how to do stuff. All right, I'll give it to you. But part 1, it's more like having a bodyguard with you beating up kids on a school yard.
Yeah, I mean, like, literally the only thing he does to anybody, he punches Naruto once, I think, but otherwise all he has to do is, like, move and then lift his hand and crush his hand. That's all he has to do, ever. And so, yeah, I agree. I think...
I don't even think he has to do that.
Like, for
if
the
he
sand
wanted
coffin and
to.
sand burial.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think he has to even do that. Like, I think the sand would do that anyways. I think he's just doing it for dramatic effect.
I mean, if you've seen his eyeliner, he's all about dramatic effect.
I mean, he
Funny
did
story,
get-
that's not actually eyeliner. He was born that way. Like, in the flashbacks, he is born with those dark rings around his eyes. Like, that is a genuine thing.
Oy vey.
But
Here's my stance. While some viewers find early series Gaara to be a reskin of Sasuke or criticize his power fall off in later arcs, this is my opinion. Many fans argue Gaara is one of the most powerful and well-developed characters in Naruto. That's my stance.
great stance.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
Since this AI boom, I haven't had a single independent thought for the past 4 years or whatever. It's been great.
Oh, that's great. I love not
Well-
thinking.
It's so simple.
It
I used
really
to spend time
is.
thinking. I'm like, what was I doing?
Now I get to spend time not doing that.
Pondering who would win in a fight.
So
I
true.
even let AI do that for me. Actually, that's all I use it for.
That's funny.
Hey, who would win in a fight, Naruto or Goku? Obviously, it's Goku.
Or Leia.
It's like,
Princess Leia or Naruto after the Sage of Six Paths takes over his body. We haven't gotten there yet, DJ.
I am full of anticipation. Are we not done?
No, we are not done.
I forgot. Yeah, we're not done. Cool.
Yeah, it's only one more recap episode and
Until
then
we
we're
get to
done.
Boruto.
Until we get to Boruto, and then
Yeah.
I'll have to actually watch it. Anywho,
yes.
let's go ahead and dive on in. So, Connor, just a little bit about, I guess, what is your story? And I know that that's going to be, long. We'll probably ask questions as we go through, but just, what has been your story so far?
Yeah, so I don't know how far you guys want to go back, and I'm trying not to curse, so forgive me in advance if I do. But we all know how to get messed up. We all know, all that stuff. So, I'm not going to get into the party years, my first drink, anything like that. What I'll get into is, when it started to shift for me. And when it started to shift for me was when I realized how big of a mistake it was for me to get married. And I'm not dogging marriage, I'm dogging the partner that I chose. I chose poorly. We were a year in and I was literally playing Find the New Cat in my house because she would sneak cats into my house. We'd have arguments, she was messy, just all that bunch of stuff. So I hated my life. I hated my job. And I stopped going out to bars and hanging out with friends, and I started drinking at home. It was mild at first. I still consider it mild. But somewhere along the lines, it got out of hand. She ended up leaving, and I proceeded to try and kill myself by alcohol. For the record, I have died 3 times due to alcohol poisoning. The last one, I was in a coma for 2 weeks and I had my shoulder replaced. 5 vertebrae in my back crushed. And yeah, that was October 21st of 2022. I came to in the hospital, fought 7 nurses and 3 sheriff officers in Davidson County. Finally, they calmed me down and I realized where I was, and I was very compliant after that. I dove into AA because that was the only thing available to me. Worked the steps. I did all that, and everything seemed to be going really good for me, but it wasn't. I would like to say that that was my last drink, but it wasn't. About 15 months in, I started drinking again. I got busted immediately. Went back to AA, worked the steps. I think, Gage, you were there for that.
I believe so.
Yeah. And I was good for about 3 months, and then I started drinking again. And then that started the cycle all over again of 3 months sober, 1 bender. 3 months sober, now a week bender. 2 months sober, 2-week bender. And I saw it going in a downward slide. And I've been struggling with it, but I finally got it all sorted out. And it got sorted out with medicine. I'm not on naltrexone, the Vivitrol shot, or anything like that, but I got properly diagnosed. And once I got properly diagnosed and I got the correct medicine, all of that went away. Now I can logically look at things and do things the right way. I've never actually given my lead before, so it's really kind of hard for me. So what questions do you have? That would be easier for me to answer.
Yeah, no, you're good.
Real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, just thanks for sharing.
Mm-hmm.
It's very vulnerable. And I feel like, yeah, it's not easy to live through, but I appreciate the vulnerability of sharing, like, the feeling like you had it all under control and then didn't, and then going through that process, because I feel like a lot of times it's hard to share that process. So I appreciate that.
Much love.
Don't know what question.
Yeah.
So I think one of the things that you and I have talked about extensively at this point is how, like, you have poured yourself into hobbies and stuff like that. Is that still something that is helping you? I know obviously being medicated and properly diagnosed helps a lot, but is that something that you still see as like a tool, like something that does help you?
You do need something to replace it with.
Mm-hmm.
Because you got to remember that, like, alcoholism takes up a lot of your time and a lot of your money. You know, for me, I never really drank that much. I just didn't eat when I drank, and so that exacerbated everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I would go 3 days without eating, but I'd only have like 6 tall boys during those 3 days. That's 2 a day. That's not that much, but I'm not eating, so there's nothing on my stomach. You know, I'm dehydrated. I'm, you know, out of my mind before I even drink. And that drinking, like, takes it to the next level. And, you know, one of the things, and one of the big reasons that I wanted to come on here is I'm sure you guys have a lot of normal people. We call them normies. People that can take it or leave it, have a few drinks here or there, you know, what have you. You know, when I drink, I lose all the money in my bank account, my job, and I'm damn near homeless. And I've probably tried to fight somebody, and I've hit on about 5 different people's girlfriends, you know. So there's a real ugly side to it, but I think once you peel back more of the layers of what's supposed to be helping you, that's where it really gets scary.
I do remember something that you said when we had a conversation. It's been over 2 years at this point. But one of the things that you said, and I believe it was in relation to, like, when you did like when you would drink, you said that there was like, you said something about like that voice in the back of your head that tells you yes and no, like that just disappears.
Yes. That moral
And so,
compass
yeah.
is out the window.
Hmm. And obviously, your experience with alcoholism may not be exactly the same as other people's experiences with other addictions, but do you think that's probably like just in your experience with other people, do you think that is kind of just the addiction experience? Is like when you are there, like that yes no voice kind of just disappears.
Yeah, I've talked to a lot of other addicts and alcoholics, and that voice in the back of your head that says, no, don't do that, has been also saying, you can have one
Mm.
for weeks before you ever pick up. Like the relapse does not start with the shot, the drug, the beer, any of that. It happens weeks before, and it starts off with like somebody saying something off the cuff that's kind of a dig at you.
Mm.
But it's not meant to be a dig, quote unquote, but it is a dig. Like, yeah, you could skydive if you lost like 100 pounds, that type of thing.
Connor, like I don't mean anything offensive by this. Like genuinely, if you're anything like I remember you, you would be 10 pounds if you lost 100.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, I'm talking about like a heavier person.
Okay.
Hmm.
I was gonna, I was like,
You
I
could
don't think you're
skydive
a big
without a
guy.
parachute if you lost.
No, I weigh about 160, but yeah, say you're talking to like a 275 pound
Mm-hmm.
dude, and
Mm-hmm.
he's like, I'm gonna go skydiving, and you'd be like, yeah, you can do that if you lost 100 pounds.
Okay.
Mhm.
You know, saying like, yeah, you can do it, but you gotta lose weight
Mhm.
first.
Yeah, I. So I'm curious because I've got like a few things that I'm compulsive about, right? Where like I sometimes I start eating and then a little bit later I'm like, what have I done? Like I just that, and I'm not trying to say it's the exact same, but
Oh,
as
it's
I like
similar.
think more through it, yeah, I've been processing lately like that there are similarities there, and then I have a history with porn, and there that's like that's in the rear view, but it feels dangerous to say it's in the rear view. But like it's just recently I processed like it's the same thing when I'm eating, like the way that I like to eat. And so I guess just so you know, I'm asking these questions from like a personal place and not just like
Oh yeah.
trying to learn more. But I'm curious like how you handle almost the sense of inevitability where like oh like I'm like for me like oh I'm gonna eat a ton of dessert sometime, so why not now? And so like that if that's a thing that you deal with or you know of people dealing with.
So there's a quote from a Fight Club, and it's like, given a long enough time frame, everybody's life expectancy drops to zero,
Mm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you look at it that way, there is this inevitability that I will drink again, or I'll find something
Yeah.
else that's even worse. But
Yeah.
you don't think about that.
Yeah.
You can't
Yeah.
think about that. What you can only think about is what you can control in that day. You can have overarching plans, like I'm planning a marathon for my new 1 year sober anniversary here in
Nice. That's awesome.
November.
That's awesome.
Looking at it, 20.2 miles seems incredibly daunting, right? Just to wake up
Mm-hmm.
and run that one day. But it's not that bad if I wake up tomorrow and I'm like, okay, I just need to run 2 miles today and get it
Mm-hmm.
under 30 minutes. That's all I got to
Mm-hmm.
do. And
Yeah.
So, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I'm saying, and that makes it just easier.
Yeah. No, that definitely makes sense.
But DJ kind of touched on something, and I want to talk about what it's like when I was unmedicated and I'd get those urges. DJ mentioned that he had a problem with porn. Now, imagine watching porn for 2 to 3 weeks and not getting any sort of release out of it, not touching yourself, not doing anything like that. That's what those urges are like.
I think I follow. I think I.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it'd
'Cause
be
it's
like getting almost to completion and then just saying, "Oh, no,
like kind of like the empty promises almost
yeah,
that like addiction promises you. Like you'll find fulfillment if you just do this thing. Like your life will matter if you do this thing, and then it doesn't. Am I on the right track here?
you are, you are." It's all kind of a hollow shell or like a empty birthday present that you open up and the box is empty. And it's that way with the urges of wanting to drink. You know that box is going to be empty. You know it. But you stare at that present long enough, you're going to open the present even though you know it's empty.
So one of the things that I know, and this is kind of jumping around a little bit, but this was something I did want to ask before I forget. I know that in your journey with sobriety, and as you have made content and done other things like that, you have been able to interact with people like online and in person
Mhm.
who have been, I would assume, a help to you and helped by you in that process. And I was just kind of curious, obviously without sharing personal information of anybody, just like what that side of things was also like. And we can save that if we want to stay on this train of thought for a little bit longer. But that
So,
is something I wanted to get out before it left my brain.
yeah, no, we better touch on it before it leaves my brain too. You know, when you get out there and you help, it's a different feeling. It's ironically everything that addiction promises you is what you get when you help somebody, whether that be a listening ear, advice, or just sitting next to them while they cry. You know, I've had, not sharing any personal details or anything, but I've had people that sat next to me telling me for 28 days that they're, girls saving their place for them, holding it down. You know, it's going to be great when they get out. She's waiting on me and all that. And then like day 25, 26, he gets the phone call where she's moved somebody in, packed all of his stuff up and put it in a storage unit. You know, those are devastating moments that you go through when you're at rehab, which is ultimately kind of where I wanted to go, was like the rehab culture, recovery culture, what that actually looks like. Because, you know, from your standpoint, AA and all this is meant to help people, right? And
I mean, you and I have had enough conversations for me to, have slightly different thoughts on that at this point. But
right,
yes.
to the normal person, to like DJ who's never met me, he would think a 28-day program in AA would be the fix to it. But it's not. When you when you go to rehab, it's a completely different experience than what you tell your family. What goes on there versus what everybody wants to hear. You know, nobody wants to hear you spent 28 days being told that you're a POS, believing you're a POS, coming in thinking you're a POS, and then turned loose. It sucks.
Yeah.
It really sucks. You go through, first and foremost, almost every rehab I've gone to, has been AA based.
Mm.
And so you spend 28 days going through Bill's story. There is a solution, more about alcoholism, and then you touch on the fourth step.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all you do. And when you get out, they tell you, well, you actually haven't done any of your steps. You need to do those with a sponsor. And then so it just all kind of feels like a waste. And
Mm-hmm.
if you're familiar with any of the steps, it's basically, I'm hopeless. God can save me. Please, God, save me. Let me review all the ways I was a POS to everybody. That's what it is.
Also, I just wanted to pop in real quick to say I'm listening. I'm on the call. It's just Gage usually kind of turns off the recording when my son's here with me, so I turned off my camera just so we can keep going.
You're totally
So,
fine.
just
I'm trying not to curse with your son being there.
You're good. He can't hear you.
So you did mention in a text to me the other day, as we were kind of talking about the idea of what we would talk about when you came on, that you think Celebrate Recovery, CR, is the one that you think does it the best. There's still things that you think can be done better, obviously, but you think they do it the best. Could you kind of explain the difference between the two?
Well, both of them are very Judo Christianity based.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no qualms about it.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody that says AA is spiritual is lying to you. When they say your own conception of God, it's more like wink, wink, get on board with what we're selling here. It's a bait and switch.
Mm-hmm.
At least CR is upfront about it. CR, when you go, they feed you. You get a nice meal when you go, and I think that draws a big crowd in because most alcoholics and addicts are homeless and they don't know where their next meal is coming from. So that's a big draw. When you get in there, there's a band that plays, at least at mine. There's a
Mm-hmm.
band that plays for a little bit. There's a person that gives their testimony. And then you break off into individual groups and you have basically group therapy.
Mm-hmm.
The testimonies, they range from a wild variety of things.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just people struggling with alcoholism or addiction. It's people struggling with anger, with lust,
Mm-hmm.
with gluttony, greed. You know, you have the whole smorgasbord there. And so you don't feel so alone or trapped in this recovery culture, which I feel the recovery culture is a self-defeating idea.
Mm-hmm.
You know, going back to that quote, given a long enough time frame, everybody's life expectancy goes to 0. Given a long enough time frame, everybody's going to pick up again.
So
So,
is that something you used to talk to me about, how toxic the online recovery communities could be? Is that a thing that just kind of gets thrown around in those?
oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's all sorts of phrases used like yet, you're eligible to. If you
Mm-hmm.
haven't done that yet, we all know where that's going. You know, everybody's arguing over which is the right way to do things. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there's AA, there's Celebrate Recovery, there's Recovery Dharma, which don't even get me started on that one. There's Smart Recovery. I really like Smart Recovery, like their handbook and doing things, but their meetings is nothing more than bashing AA and saying how much better they are than AA. So you're not getting anything out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I found out Recovery Dharma, the guy who started it, was like a hardcore sex offender, like multiple sexual assaults and grooming and what have yous. And then he started Recovery Dharma. And I'm supposed to follow this dude? I'm like, no, he just diddled a 12-year-old like 3 years ago. I'm not doing that. I'm not listening to his advice. I mean, he's long dead now. This was in the 60s, but
Mm-hmm.
still, like, how likely would you be to follow your faith if you knew that Jesus was a pedophile?
So I mean, well, I've got no political comments, but
I I thought you were gonna. Never mind.
yeah. I what was I gonna say? Oh, can I tell you my Celebrate Recovery story?
Yeah,
Is that okay?
yeah.
So
Share it.
I was taking a college class. I think it was crisis counseling, and for part of that, everyone had to attend one of them. So Celebrate Recovery, AA, like just one of them,
Right.
just to see what it's like. And so I went and I attended one, and it was, so I guess a couple things. Like, one, for anyone who might be listening to this and you've got the feeling like, oh man, maybe I should actually, like, walk down this path, go down this road. Like Connor was saying, there are a lot of things that are like pretty disarming about Celebrate Recovery, at least from an outside perspective, right? And it seems like a lot of them are set up like they do want what's good for you. And so I thought that it was just interesting, seeing that side of it. But there was also, so you see some characters there. Is that fair to say?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the character that will always live in my mind is there's this guy like that wanted us to know the number of times he got in trouble in prison for stabbing people in the neck. And it was more than one. And he just had this like gruff voice, and they were asking about like how many years have people been sober, and like, giving out the tokens and all that. And he just was slowly getting a bit like more and more animated, because he was like 26 years or something, which is awesome. But like they were working their way up, and so then I'm like, is this guy going to start stabbing necks? And then eventually it was all good and it was handled. But that's my Celebrate Recovery story, is mostly neck stabbing guy, but also I was like, oh, this is just interesting at the very least.
So
Oh,
go ahead, Connor.
oh no, I was just saying, oh yeah.
I think I've shared this on the podcast. I don't remember. And Connor, I don't even know if I shared this with you when I was in Nashville. But when I was it was in 2017, I did my internship in Chicago, and people in the church would sign up to take me out to eat. People would sign up for different days to take me out to eat and just get to know me, tell me things about Chicago and stuff like that. And
Right.
this one woman in the church came up to me and she was like, "It's my week to take you out to eat. Do you want to go to a banquet?" And I was like, "Sure, why not?" And we show up and it's at like a rec hall or something. I was like, "What kind of banquet is this?" I hadn't asked beforehand, and it's like, I'm pretty sure it was Alcoholics Anonymous. It could have been R&R.
Never heard of R.
I remember there were some guys who went to R&R when I was in college, because we always joked about them being late to something because they were at Rungeons and Ragans. But, and I know that means rest and relaxation, but I know that's not what it was. It might have just been like a local thing.
Could have been.
But it could have also been CR. I don't know, but it was a banquet. They had really good food. There were all kinds of people there, and I got to just see all of these people talk about their journeys, and it was very eye-opening for 21-year-old Gage, who up to that point had lived a very sheltered life and hadn't really interacted with a lot of people who struggled with addictions outside of, and I'm not saying this to like invalidate the addiction itself, but like outside of like pornography or eating or something like that. Like, I think those are real addictions, but like I hadn't interacted with a lot of people who had to fight alcoholism or drug addiction at that point in my life, other than adults that I didn't really share any kind of similarity with or any kind of vulnerability with. And so it was very It was very eye opening, and I'm very glad I went. But it was also just threw me off because I was like, "Oh yeah, this person's taking me out to eat," and it was to like an addiction recovery banquet.
Yeah, I guess one, like Gage and I are both sharing like kind of silly memories, but I would kind of parrot that same thing where another thing that stuck with me was it really is. It's so hard in life to find spaces where you can be vulnerable and where like like ugly vulnerability is encouraged. Like I feel like I really like sharing when I used to do something and like used to deal with something, and I don't like sharing like this is where I am right now a lot of times. And I remember just hearing a lot of like yeah, I wanted to use drugs. So I think we specifically did the narcotic side of it. Just a lot of like I wanted to do drugs so bad this week, and I knew I couldn't, but I wanted to so bad. And like that, I think that just the fact, and I don't have the experience you have, so you can speak to more than I can, but like because I know you have your opinions on these
Oh,
different
yeah.
ones, but like I think that the fact that that almost would be another encouragement if anyone's on the fence. Like there are spaces where you can be vulnerable and spaces where you can share the parts of you that you feel like you can't share with anyone else. I don't know how you would feel about that.
I,
Heavy caveat with whatever Connor says.
I would tread carefully with what you
Okay.
share.
Okay.
And this is just from personal experience, so take it with a grain of salt. But I have been vulnerable and shared things that have gotten out. Where I'm
Mm.
at now is I won't share anything without anybody with letters behind their name.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
you got to think about it too. Like the same person who's giving you advice was also you, like
Yeah.
3 months prior, a year prior,
Interesting.
like, and most of them don't do the heavy lifting of weeding through that. Their recovery is telling other people how to recover. That's how they recover, which is this like pseudo, I don't want to say grooming, but there's not a better way to put it. You're conditioning somebody to think along the same lines that you think, and that person's going along with it saying, "Oh, well, he's sober, so I'm going to do what he says, even if it's detrimental to you." Like, I'll give you a couple examples. When I first started trying to get sober, and I'll use quotations because I wasn't actually trying, I just wanted my wife back. I was at a sober living house and I worked from home. Well, they would get home, my roommates, bunkies, whatever you want to call them, and they would want to go to McDonald's or whatever. And I was the only one with a car. And so they would ask me to drive them to McDonald's, even though I was working. And I'd say, I can't, I'm working right now. And they'd be like, well, how bad do you want to stay sober? I'm like, well, really bad. And they were like, well, then you'll drive me to McDonald's. That's a firsthand experience. None of that connects. None of that makes any sense. It's just more or less manipulating.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I would say tread carefully with these groups, is because there's a lot of predators in the ocean.
Was the implication there that like you would get kicked out or that they would like do something to cause you to relapse? Was that kind of the implication with what they were getting at there?
The implication was if I didn't drive him to McDonald's, then I was going to drink of my own accord.
Yeah, like
Okay.
almost like not driving him to McDonald's shows some like weakness
Yeah.
of some sort. Gotcha.
Right.
And
Which
so,
is absurd.
exactly.
Yeah.
And so now I don't associate with really any recovery group. I kind of do my own thing. I found what works for me.
Mm-hmm.
And, I've been doing good. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I've had moments where I've been completely abstinent and not drank. I've had moments where I've moderated and it hasn't gotten out of control. And here's the dirty trick. And this is the last thing I'm going to dog AA for. But in the book of More About Alcoholism, or in the chapter More About Alcoholism, it says, well, why don't you go out and try some controlled drinking, but keep in mind what we've told you about alcoholism. And what they tell you is that it always gets worse. Every time you drink, it gets worse. And so in your head, you have it in your mind, if you drink, then you're going to go balls to the wall with your drinking. Where if you have one drink, it's going to turn into a 30 pack. It's not real. It's not the case. It doesn't have to be. I think, and don't get me wrong, AA has helped a lot of people. Smart's helped a lot of people. Celebrate Recovery has helped a lot of people. But I find it as a self-fulfilling prophecy that it's going to get worse if you drink.
How do you overcome kind of that? Because I'm hearing that same compulsive side where, and I know for a number of people that it is like their experience thus far, or the past few years or whatever, has been anytime they have a drink, then it's all in, and they're going to wake up in a few days wondering what happened. How do you move from that place of compulsion to kind of the more rational, logical, like, I can process this, I can, like, moderate?
You have to, it's a lot like leaving a cult. You have to undoctrinate yourself. You have to challenge these beliefs that, if you do slip up and you have one, it doesn't have to be 1,000. It can just be that one. You have to get that in your head that you don't have to compulsively drink. You don't have to do that. Like,
It's kind of
if
like a sunk cost fallacy. Almost.
exactly, yeah, you have to challenge that thought, and you have to move away from the people
I've lost it.
that buy into that thought.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'll give you a perfect example. Once again, about a week ago, no, 2 weeks ago, I got off work on Saturday, and I bought 2 tall boys, and I drank them. I woke up Sunday, didn't drink. Woke up Monday, didn't drink. Woke up Tuesday, didn't drink. But I still felt in my heart the guilt and the shame from the previous indoctrination that I did something bad. And I needed to ride this bad wave all the way down. And then there's the whole idea of if you drink, it only ends in one of 3 ways: jails, institutions, or death. So you're either going to go to jail, you're going to go to rehab or a mental hospital, or you're going to die. And Gage can attest to some of my thinking on it, but there have been times where, to a normal person, you just drank a lot that last night. But to me, when I wake up, I drank a lot last night. I'm what they call kindled, and which is a term meaning every time you drink, it gets worse and worse for your withdrawals, that you'll die if you don't continue to drink. So there's that fear playing in your mind too. And as I've said before, I've died 3 times from this. So by all accounts, if I pick up and I start drinking, I should be in the danger zone for seizures. But I'm living proof that no, that's not the case.
Before we started recording, you did say something that I also want to get to before both of us forget. You mentioned that you don't think sobriety should always be serious. And I was
Yes.
very curious about unpacking that a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, life's too short. Life's too short. You should be serious about like certain things, like not letting, let me rewind. As long as your bills are paid, you're maintaining your responsibilities and all that's good, like your relationships are good, you're not at odds with anybody because of what you're doing, then you should be able to, laugh and have fun. I mean, I got into model building, D&D, and other like board games in sobriety. I don't go to AA meetings. I don't sit there and talk about what it was like when I was in the quote unquote madness. I'm too busy doing all this other fun shit. And that's what life is all about. Like you find these people that get sober and sobriety becomes their whole personality. And what happens once again in that inevitability, they slip up. Now their whole personality is shattered because they're so one dimensional, because they took sobriety way too serious. And I don't want to put me as the poster child, but if you have like someone like me where sobriety is only maybe 10% of my personality, the other, 90% is sarcastic asshole who likes to build models and play with his dog. And, if I drink, I'm still at a B by college standards. I'm still at a B. I'm still passing. Like, there's no reason to make life pass fail.
There's a video that I haven't seen in a little while. I saw it a few times. Maybe you've seen it before on like Facebook or whatever. That is like, I can't remember exactly how they frame it up, but I feel like a good general idea would be like for me, it'd be like when you accidentally or when you eat a brownie in the middle of the day or whatever. If I'm thinking through it through the lens of compulsive eating, and it's just a person like walking along and they accidentally spill a little bit of their coffee on their shirt. And so then they just kind of open up the lid and just spill the rest of it on their shirt.
Exactly.
Or like they accidentally knock something over a little bit, so they just slam it on the ground. Yeah, with the idea being that like it's okay to, and maybe you would reframe the way I word this even, but like it's okay to mess up a little bit, and like it's okay to like not be what you would deem or what others would deem as perfect, but that doesn't have to like ruin your day or your week or your life.
I mean, mistakes only happen if you don't learn from them. If you learn from them, then they're lessons.
I think just what this is saying in my head, at least, is that I think that part of what all people need at some point, preferably earlier in their lives, but maybe even just throughout, because we're all doing this for the first time, is that like there needs to be a safe way or place for failure in life in a lot of ways. And if you're living on the assumption that if you have a minor failure, that's going to be the end of you, I think that whether or not it is a good thing that you did have that failure or that setback or whatever, whether or not that's a good thing, having the assumption that one little slip up or whatever is going to be your end, I feel like personally, and I could be wrong on this, would make the inevitability more inevitable, so to speak.
Maybe, but I would argue that life is your safe space to fail. As long as you don't die, anybody can bounce back. I can tell you I've lost so much and I got it right back. And I've lost it again and I got it right back. But each time I'm learning from it. You know, it would be different if like I put my hand on a hot stove and I burnt it. All right.
Mm-hmm.
If like 3 months from then I see a hot stove and I put my hand on it again and I burn it, well, then I haven't learned anything. Now, far be it from me, and it'd be really dumb, but if I see a hot stove 3 months from now and I put my face on it, that's a different mistake. You're still getting burned, but you're trying out and finding out what's vulnerable, what can take that burn, what can't.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes time to figure out that, you know, okay, it's just a hot stove that I can't touch. I can touch the side of the stove. I can put on gloves and touch the hot stove. But bare skin to hot stove equals bad. And that's where I argue
Mm-hmm.
that, you know, and there's some people that need AA. They need SMART. They need Celebrate Recovery. Like they genuinely need it because they need that structure, that line of thinking, that indoctrination, because they're so far left that they're right, that they need that correction.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if any of that makes any sense.
I think I follow. And I think that it's like I think what I'm understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong in how I'm understanding, is that like it recovery and sobriety are not a one size fits all thing,
Correct.
essentially. Like people need different methods work better for different people. Different structures work better for different people. And obviously you run the risk of sometimes being bad actors or having bad actors different in different places. You do that with anything.
Oh, yeah. I mean, have you heard of 13 stepping? Well, get ready for this one. So 13th stepping is when a newcomer comes in still kind of fresh in sobriety. Maybe they have a day, 2 days, and somebody like preys on them. Best example, a cute girl comes in crying, saying, "It's been 6 hours since my last drink. I don't know what to do." And some guy walks up and is like, "I'll teach you how to be sober." And he does this with the intentions of sleeping with her. You have that go on in there. So it's just a lot that you need to be mindful of when you go into these things.
So if right now there's someone listening on your video, our video, who is kind of coming to terms with, like, man, I think I need to do something with my alcoholism or my whatever addiction. Say someone's listening right now. What advice do you have for them that isn't, maybe it's not like go to AA, but like what advice would you have that you feel would kind of cast a general net? And
So my general blanket response would be, one, I want you to tell me where you want to be in 5 years. All right. And then break that down into manageable steps so that you can get there. And surprise, surprise, you'll get there probably in about 2 years. I mean, when I first got sober, the only things that I wanted was to live on my own and to have a new car. And I gave myself 5 years to get that done. In 9 months, I had bought a new car, moved to Nashville again, got a girlfriend, and was living on my own and had a great job. Like, you'll blow your goal out of the water and then some if you just write the goal down. The next thing I would say is what are your hobbies? What do you like to do? Oh, you don't have any hobbies? Okay. Well, why don't you write down what you think you would like to do? And then as you start getting more sober, start trying some of those hobbies. You know, when I first started trying to be sober, I got into photography. I got into running. I got into astrophotography. I got into YouTube. I got into streaming. I got into pickleball. I got into disc golf. And what stuck so far was my channel, running, pickleball, and disc golf. Don't get me wrong, I'm still proficient in all of those hobbies. I mean, to my liking, maybe not to everybody else's, but to my liking, I'm proficient in them. But I know what I like and what I don't like. And so now that I know what I like, I can pursue that further and hone that skill. And that's something that I'm proud of now. Like,
And I assume, sorry.
I mean, I'll have to find a photo, but you should see my first mini I painted versus where I'm at now with it.
I assume that also helps with the whole like sobriety not being your entire personality, is like choosing to develop those hobbies. And I guess in some way, would you say that in just within the realm of new hobbies that you've like reinvented yourself at all? Or
I would say I'm a completely different person from when I was drinking. When I was drinking, all I would do is sit on the couch and watch YouTube videos of people living the life I wanted to live. And once I got sober, I stopped watching those videos and I started doing them. You know, I had this shoulder replaced, my right shoulder replaced. And in 10 months of that being replaced, I was out rock climbing. Things that I shouldn't have been able to do. The doctor told me I wouldn't be able to do pull-ups, and I can bang out 10 of them now, no problem. You know, it's a complete reinventing and pushing yourself and not accepting defeat.
do you think everyone has that in them?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. I was just curious your thoughts.
I think if I can do it, anybody can do it. That's how I look at it. And, you know, maybe that's being hard on people, but if I can go from stealing beer from an Indian gas station to a respectable person that is around their family and they trust with their things, then anybody can do it. I mean, 3 years ago, I got into a fight with my father, punched him in the face, drove off drunk, went to an Indian gas station, put a beer in my gym shorts, one of those tall boys. I had sweats on over the gym shorts. And I walked up with a Diet Coke, planted it down, full confidence, looked that guy in the face to buy the Diet Coke. He rang it up. My card was declined. And I said, oh, shit, never mind. And I walked out with the beer. If I can go from that to being trusted around my family, to having a job, to having friends, to having hobbies, I think anybody can do it. I mean, 6 years ago, I was a pack and a half a day menthol smoker. 2 years ago, I ran 2 half marathons.
That's awesome.
You know, anybody can do it. You just have to get rid of the victim mentality, get rid of life's picking on you, and just do it.
Maybe this question is more, I mean, we're talking a lot of personal things. Do you feel like your experience has led you to more like compassion towards people in similar experiences, or a sense of like, come on, like you can do it, like do it? And there's overlap there too, potentially, sure, as well.
I would say tough compassion. I have compassion for somebody that's trying and it's just not clicking
Yeah.
just yet, but they're trying. I have
Mm-hmm.
compassion for those people. What I don't have compassion for is somebody that's like, I just drank a gallon of vodka. Why? Because I'm an alcoholic. Well, that doesn't make any sense. Why did you do that? Like, what went on in your life that made you do that? And they're like, I'm just an alcoholic. I have zero compassion for that. Just like I would have zero compassion for somebody walking around having a pity party saying that they have cancer and that they're going to die in 3 months, but they refuse to go do chemo. If I had cancer, I would be doing every treatment possible to make sure I stayed alive. I wouldn't lie down and just say, I'm done. Maybe I'm being harsh.
What are you thinking, Gage?
So one of the, I mean, I'm just processing a lot of what you're saying. These are things that you and I have talked about at length at different times. Of course, it's been a couple of years since we really caught up big time, but
Yeah, it's
uh,
been a little bit.
yeah. I just think it's interesting to see, even between you and me, like how much, like, you're the guy that I worked with, but there's obviously things that you have grown in since then as well, which is cool to see. Especially like hearing that like you're doing better with your family. That's encouraging to me because I know when I was around you, things were a lot rougher
Oh,
then.
yeah.
And so I don't know. I think it's cool to be able to see tangible changes and growth in the life of someone that you care about who is going through that. Is something that I think that's just something I'm thinking about.
I mean, it is tough. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not going to sugarcoat it. It's tough.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting back into shape, but
Mm-hmm.
it is what it is. And, you have to live in reality. You can't live in la la land. I remember my first rehab trip. When I got out, I thought there was going to be a parade in my honor.
Mm-hmm.
They would promote me to manager, where I would just sit there and say yes, no to things, and it would just be done. But no, I got out and I went back to my same job. The wife didn't come back. Things didn't get better. But what I did get out of it long term was a better understanding of me, a better relationship with my family. Now I have boundaries. No is a full sentence and they respect it. They help me out from time to time because even now, 3 years into my sobriety journey, I still run out of money. Life still isn't perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm still living hand to mouth. I wouldn't be if I didn't get into Warhammer, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
But, you know, getting into Warhammer, some of my fondest memories is going to the game shop and playing the game. But it's not so much about playing the game so much as you show your models to them. They're like, oh, that's cool. They show you their models and you're like, wow, that's cool. How'd you do that? And then you guys get to talking, and next thing you know, you're hanging out at the game shop. You guys see each other, you know each other by name. I had somebody come up to me earlier this year and they're like, Connor, you're back. And I was like, yeah, I went to rehab. And he goes, well, you look a hell of a lot better than you did before you went in. I was like, thanks, man. I'm moving out to East Kentucky. And he goes, why? And I was like, I need a fresh start. Like, I've tainted this place. And he goes, that makes complete sense. And you know what he did? He gave me a list of all the game stores in this area for me to check
That's
out and called them to let them know I was coming there.
that's awesome.
I wouldn't have had that if I hadn't have gotten into Warhammer.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't have these relationships if it wasn't for the hobbies, which ultimately the opposite of addiction is connection. And you can only connect with people if you have stuff in common.
Is that the opposite of addiction is connection? Is that one of like the tenets of something, or is that Like, is that yours?
That's a tenet of something. I don't know where it came
Okay.
from, but it's
Yeah.
constantly, it's not officially AA. It's not officially
Mm-hmm.
smart. It's not, I think they did a study. There's a TED talk about it where they put rats in a cage, and the only thing in the cage was two bottles of water. One had cocaine and one had just water in it.
I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to laugh at
No,
that.
and
These poor
like
rats.
the rats would only go to the cocaine water and drink it.
Yeah.
I mean, why would you not? I would do the same.
Yeah.
I
Come on.
mean, hell yeah, lit.
It's free.
But
Like,
what they ended up doing
man,
after that, after they got them all addicted to cocaine, they built what
I'm
they
so
called
sorry.
rat paradise. Like, imagine they gave you like $10,000 worth of
Cocaine.
like hamster tubes and spinny wheels and rat swings and stuff like that. Like this
It's DJ
awesome.
Paradise. Yeah.
Yeah, they turned it into rat paradise. And what they found
Mm-hmm.
was when the rats had rat paradise and other rats to be around, they stopped going to the cocaine water. They started going to the regular water all on their own.
Even while the cocaine water was available?
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I've been curious throughout just like the role, because I think one of the surface level values of the different like treatment or like recovery programs is that they offer community and like connection, like the surface level.
Surface level.
Like if you're only doing 12 steps and not another one more, maybe. And so
Sometimes
I've
that
been
13th is
curious.
necessary. I'm joking. I'm
Okay.
joking.
I was like, I guess connection, I don't know.
I mean, they connected
Uh, no, but like, so I've been
all
curious, like,
night long. I had to. Okay.
that's fine.
Anyways, DJ, I'm
Uh,
sorry.
no, you're good. But I've been curious, like how, because I would assume that relationships would have to play a role always. Like maybe not always. Maybe there's someone out there that can just climb the mountain by themselves and that's that. But I assume that it's that relationships are necessary. And so I was curious what it looks like for you. So it sounds like for you, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, like a lot of that relationship has been in the kind of external relationships outside of like sobriety as a main focus and like the value of those relationships.
Yeah, for me, I found moving away from sobriety, addiction, any of that,
Mm-hmm.
and building those relationships outside of that
Mm-hmm.
has been more beneficial for me. Do I think there's a place for AA? Absolutely. I think there's a place for all of them, but I don't think, what's a nice way of putting this? Don't put all of your eggs in that basket.
Mm-hmm.
I think it goes back to being one dimensional.
Mm-hmm.
Because, when you get into AA and you get into Celebrate Recovery and all that, you have what's called a sponsor, who is basically supposed to be your mentor, guide you through the steps. He's supposed to be your best friend and, call you on your bullshit and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't always pan out that way. For me, I've done the steps so many times that I don't need to do the steps again. I can sit there and be like, I was being this way. I was doing this. I was doing this. And maybe it's foolhardy to think that I can be my own sponsor, but it's been working for me. So why change it? Those connections that you find in A. I mean, you got to keep in mind the crowd you're running with. Birds of a feather, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to be a better person or whatever, be around better people and you will rise to that level. But I still love the degeneracy of like alcoholism. I still like to joke about it. I still like to have fun with it. I still like to, you know, I was joking with somebody a couple weeks ago And they were like, "Oh man, I'm gonna drink." And I go, "Are you gonna play my favorite game?" And he goes, "What's that?" "Can I finish this 12 pack before I fall asleep?" And he just started laughing. I go, "I always win." And he was like, "What?" I go, "Sometimes I like to play it on hard mode where I'll take NyQuil first." He was like, "That's nightmare mode, man." I was like, "I still win."
Gosh.
Yeah.
But I mean, that shit's funny to me.
All
It's
right.
funny
It's
because
probably
it's true.
you're both muted on my side, so I assume.
Not on mine.
Not
Okay,
on mine.
great. I see you now.
Okay.
It's probably about a good time to wrap up. So if there are
Yes.
any last things that we want to make sure we get to, it's a good time to do that.
Yeah, I think
Mm.
I don't have any other questions other than like Connor. My only question, other than is there any last thing that you want to say or go over real quick, is just where can people find you to also follow along? We'll share links, of course, but yeah.
Yeah. So my YouTube channel is a ranting. You can find it. There's an anime version of me on it. And the
I'll
only,
tag you in this video. Yeah.
yeah, thanks. I'll tag you in this one as well. The only lasting questions that I have is who's your favorite Dragon Ball Z character? And there is a correct answer, and it's Vegeta because he
I
gets
I
to
was
support.
bang.
just gonna say that.
Yeah, he gets to
I
bang
know what you're
Bulma.
about to say.
He gets to bang Bulma, man.
So my favorite character is Vegeta, but not for that reason. My favorite character is Vegeta because of the Team 4-star Dragon Ball Z abridged. Vegeta is comedy gold, like the funniest character I think I've ever seen. And they didn't even alter his lines that much. So, no, it's Vegeta. That's mine.
See?
Mine's mine's Vegeta because I've not watched Dragon Ball Z, but I'll go along with you guys.
When I was
Actually, Bulma, because Vegeta's not too bad himself.
Yeah.
I in grade school, we made flags. I think it was like 4th grade, we made flags, and mine was literally Vegeta. Like I made a Vegeta flag, and I created a flag salute about the Saiyans and everything.
Oh yeah.
Like that was a genuine thing I did in like 4th or 5th grade.
Who is your
Oh
teacher?
yeah.
I was Mr. Gordon.
Okay, means nothing to me.
Okay, yeah, I didn't figure it would. I
Yeah.
think he went to the church. Russ Gordon runs CCAN or like works at CCAN.
Sure.
Yeah.
I believe you.
Okay. Okay. Did you have another one? Was that it?
That I mean, that was really it, I guess.
Okay.
Batman versus Arrow.
I'm taking Batman every time.
I mean, he is a ninja. And they're both proficient in fighting. They're
Except
both.
one of them's isn't Arrow also a billionaire?
I thought so too.
Okay. I was gonna say except Batman has more money was what I was gonna say. I'm pretty sure Batman does have more money though. Like I'm pretty sure
I mean,
that like
Batman
Bruce
just
Wayne
has
is
unlimited money.
yeah.
He has whatever money the plot requires.
And he's also I think a better detective than Arrow is. And I think that would have to play a role at some point.
Yeah.
Um,
Speaking of, did you see the new Daredevil?
I have not yet. I haven't watched any of Daredevil Born Again or whatever. I haven't watched season 1 yet.
You should watch it.
I will do that.
It is like Bulma.
Okay. Um, let's go ahead and say goodbye.
Yes.
Later,
Uh,
besties.
Oh,
Wait, I want to say thank you, Connor, for hanging out with us.
Yeah.
yes.
Thank you, as always, DJ, for being my co-host in this journey as we try to talk about everything under the sun. Thank you to Adam Ward, Jared Scrowther, and Jacob Casey, and Fox Royale, and probably other people for helping us out with music at different times and just being involved with the podcast in general. If you have comments, questions, or anything that you would like to add to the conversation, you can do that in the comments below or send us an email at nocatspod@gmail.com. If you want to be a part of an episode, reach out to us. We would love to try to make that work. And if you like hanging out with us, we can't guarantee you'll always have an idea of what we're going to do, but we can guarantee that it'll always be us here at Everything But the Cats. So
true.
join in.
Yeah, if you would like to be on the show, do it. Like, let us know. We would love to have you. We love to hang out with old friends, make new friends. Connor, it's really nice to meet you. Really glad that you were willing to share your story.
Yeah.
It's given me a lot to think about. So definitely appreciate you sharing.
Thank you.
As always, our thanks aren't enough. Please, listeners, go thank yourselves. Have a good week.